Alright, let's see if this works now, shall we? A, can you hear me? B, is my voice in sync? These are my 3 questions.
From here, shelter from the frozen wind, inside a house covered in snow, and no one tells a tale from long ago.
I guess I have to just keep talking. Let's see. Can anyone hear me? I mean, if no one's watching, then I'm like the proverbial tree falling in the forest, and it really doesn't matter, but if someone is spending their time with me this afternoon, it would be nice if they could actually hear me responding to them. That is, after all, one of the main points of doing a live stream as opposed to simply a recording. Oh, hey, it looks like I have 2 viewers according to Twitch. Hey viewers, tell me if you can see my mouth moving. No, wait. Tell me if you can hear words coming out of my mouth. AJ Baki is back. Can you hear me? Can you? And you can hear me now. Hooray! Another technical achievement award goes to Josh Foreman, the fabulous AV technician of the century. Let's see. I guess I'll just kind of repeat what I said last time, which is that I'm super sleepy, which means I'm probably going to bounce between being like crazy, hyper, and silly, and being silent, sullen, and dull. And you guys are just gonna have to deal with the swings as they come. I was up all night long, tried to go to sleep. I think I got maybe half an hour between 3:30 and 4, but it didn't last. I couldn't sleep. So I just got up and I started working on this. throughout my night. Come to think of it, I should have just streamed it. Although it's pretty boring stuff. Even more boring than what I'm doing now. Yeah, I had to get up super early to take Heather in for her surgery. And that went well. And now she's just hanging out on the couch and her parents are in there with her. So like, I am not going to make it till my normal 8 o'clock Wednesday stream. So I'm going to just start streaming now and see how far I get before I pass out live on camera. How awesome would that be? Still out of sync, huh? 76, thanks for the confirmation. Surgery just was what it was. I mean, they cut her arm open in a couple places and cut some tendons and reattached them in some way or another. And yeah, she opted for the easier route this time. She didn't get her thumb on that hand done at the same time because of how difficult things were for her on the last one, you know, the one that we got. I want to say it was like maybe 6 weeks ago, maybe more, maybe it was 2 months ago, I don't know. I can't tell time. Yeah, so she just got the arm and not the thumb, so it's expected to be a much speedier, easier recovery. Unfortunately, it means she's going to have to go back and get the thumb done at some point, so that's not cool, but for now things seem to be going swell. It's one of those things where you really can't tell how well the surgery did until all the swelling goes down and everything's healed and you have a little physical therapy for it, etc., etc. But one thing she noticed almost right away in her left hand was she stopped getting the Raynaud's, that thing where your fingers and toes, and for her, like her whole hands, just kind of look like a corpse hand. It would turn all purple and yellow. And not even just from being cold. It's not a cold thing. It's like a what is it? It's a weird system, like the immune system or something doing something wrong. It's not the immune system, but it's something like that. It's not what you would expect. So it's not one of those things where if you just keep them warm, it won't happen. But anyway, it stopped happening in her left hand after she got this particular surgery, so hopefully it'll also happen in the right. And she'll have normal mobility. These surgeries are mostly preventative because of her disease, EDS. There's just lots of things that break down in a person with EDS as they age, and one of them are those tendons, and since they're already showing signs of weakness and capsule damage and stuff, they said it would be best to head that off at the pass. And thank God we've got really good insurance through ArenaNet, so we're able to do these things. $76 and granny kisses and prayers for recovery. Thank you. Who's calling me? Credo. I don't want to talk to you, Credo. Congratulations, I've completed my first call using Wi-Fi calling. I didn't even ask to do Wi-Fi calling. I don't care. Go away. All I want is to be done with this sculpture and going to bed. That's what I want. Can you give me that, Mr. Phone? One of the other reasons I couldn't sleep, I think, is because I've just been super excited about the editing work we're doing on the Telefar, on our first trilogy. I had a hunch about one of my coworkers and friends that she would bring something important to the table. I didn't know what it was. I just know she's super analytical, super intelligent, super articulate, and she had mentioned a time or two on my Facebook that she might want to look at my stories, and so I finally started talking to her about it seriously, and so yeah, she started going through the first couple chapters, and so far her feedback has been just invaluable. Like, I really want to pay her a lot of money. I wish I had money to pay her. I think it's one of those situations where whatever she ends up doing, I'm just gonna kind of keep a mental note of it, and if it ever does hit it big, you know, she's gonna be the first person that sees a dividend from it. Yeah, it was, she nailed something that I've been growing more and more concerned with, especially as we get closer and closer to publishing, where I had one or two friends try to explain, you know, they read a little bit of it and then they kind of stopped reading, and they were trying to explain what it was that was turning them off, and they couldn't really. It sounded like it was just I just don't like the writing style or something, and so this new person that I got, she said it's a flow issue. And flow is a very nebulous thing. It's very hard to nail down. You know, I showed the feedback to my mom, and my mom started looking up, you know, flow in novels and stories. What it is, how you can mess it up. And I found a really useful article that had like a list of, I don't know, probably 10 or 15 ways that flow can get messed up. And so I forwarded that to my friend and said, so just so make sure we're on the same page, which of these things, if any, do you think is the problem? And she said almost every single one of them is in the first chapter. The ways that you can break flow. And that would have been just nice as it is, but then she was like, and I'm going to show you exactly where each of these instances are. And that's where things actually get super useful. I think a basic problem, this is what I was telling her, was like, so my mom has written other novels, but she never wrote them to be for any particular target demographic. She was just writing amazing sci-fi stories. And when she started doing serious editing pass on her Telefar stuff, she kept getting feedback that, well, this is a YA book. That stands, for those of you who are not in the know, that stands for young adult. And so that marketing category is what, like, Hunger Games and Maze Runner and you know, most of the book series starring teenagers that end up in the movies, those are YA stories. Um, and she was told by several people in articles and whatever that when you're writing for that demographic, you need to keep your sentences short and concise. And I think she basically overcorrected for that advice. I think she repressed her natural talent by taking that advice. And so I think we're going to have to do a pass where we walk that back and kind of go back to her normal way of describing and having characters talk and stuff like that. Because I've heard it from enough people and I've kind of felt it myself. I also wasn't sure how to articulate it. Because, you know, I'm not a very experienced writer myself. But anyway, yeah, my friend pointed that out and has been making just incredible comments. The best feedback that I've seen since the guy that we hired several years ago. The first guy that we hired, his name is Jeff Gerke, and he did like a very high level kind of conceptual thematic pass or whatever, where he was giving advice like put things in chronological order, you've got to set up all these characters and their motivations better at the beginning. And so yeah, my mom ended up writing, you know, completely writing the first, I don't know, 5 or 6 chapters of the book that weren't there before, because she wanted to start it as close to the action as possible. But I think that advice was awesome, because the first several chapters of the book are not just useful for introducing you to the characters and getting you to care about them and understand their motives. They're actually just like super interesting cultural study and character portraits, and yeah, they're just awesome. So I was really happy with that. AJ Baki says, when you write for that demographic, you have to take all the words out of the book. Okay, yeah, that will be good. I wasn't saying anything about that stuff because I figured that was why it was so fast and choppy, but I mostly attributed some of those things to writing style. Yeah, well, I think it is a style. There are people that are better or worse at that style, and I don't think it comes natural to my mom. It's like, you know, if you play an instrument and you've mostly played in one kind of genre, you're not going to necessarily be awesome if you just suddenly start playing in another one. Now my stream looks like it's having chunky issues. Sorry about that. I think I'm ready to do a finalish pass. Let's see, I guess I still need to finish these log points. AJ Baki says, because her Psy books are amazing and I was able to connect with the character really well on those. But while I could kind of connect with Bowmark, it was harder. Um, yeah, I mean, her other, her Shatterworld trilogy is about a 12-year-old girl, right? Like, super smart, nerdy girl. So I imagine that's probably easy for a super smart, nerdy girl like yourself to connect with. Um, but yeah, I don't know how much writing style would affect that, but maybe it does. I would not at all be surprised. So sleepy. Shatterworld is what I was trying to think of, yeah. Yeah, Shatterworld is amazing. I mean, maybe if I went back and read it again, I would pick up on some of the stuff I'm attributing to, her trying to hit the YA demographic in there as well. I don't remember it being that way. So, okay, so now I have to decide. Yeah, I think I'm gonna use the regular. The regular word that means a thing. Epoxy sculpt. Let's see. I need to fill in these little gaps. I need to finish the pointies. And I need to do these little guys. I think I can do all of those with one pass. Let's find out, shall we? We shall. This is epoxy sculpt for anyone who's wondering. This says, it has a huge effect on one's ability to connect with the character, and I can connect with characters with personalities all over the board if the writing allows for it. So anyway, maybe her going back a little to how she wrote before wouldn't be a bad thing. It would be more natural, and I think that would show through. The trilogy is awesome, though. Yeah, I think we have a fantastic foundation. And it just needs a new coat of paint, as it were. It would be nice to have a thingy I can put this on that's not gonna pop away. This will work. Let's see. Yeah, that'll work. Sorry about cutting out on you there, guys. I mean, if I had any idea what the heck I could do about it, I would do it. Alright, what am I doing? I'm filling in these little gaps a little bit. Still want you to be able to see the depression between these guys, but right now they look a little too industrial. Yeah, Mr. Comcast is a meanie. What are you gonna do? The Comcast giveth and the Comcast taketh away. I mean, I guess I could sign up for Comcast business class, but I mean, given that they don't actually give me the service that's promised to begin with, paying them more money in order to give them just what I was paying for before doesn't seem like a good policy. Which means I guess I should call them and yell at them, but then the problem is I can't honestly diagnose or tell what the problem is or if it's something I'm doing wrong. I don't think it could be because I never do anything different. Maybe they can send a technician out. Yeah, I mean, how it always goes when you call them is you're going to get someone from India that you can barely understand. They're going to try to walk you through unplugging and replugging your modem, going to a website. I think I think I remember doing this once. You go to their website that reports your speed and they're like, look, it shows that it's perfectly fine. And you're like, Okay, but it wasn't, so how does this help me? Well, it seems like the problem's resolved. And that is how to get away with not fixing things. Letha says, huh, we've always had good customer service and they send someone out if we can't figure it out. Wow. Well, maybe I need to just try it again. But yeah, it's one of those things when it just happens intermittently, I don't know how to even ask them to address that. I wonder if they have like a long-term diagnostic tool where it can just track what your upload and download speeds are like for a 24-hour period or something. I mean, I'm sure they have those tools, just whether they would actually use them in support of customer service, that I would be doubtful of. Thought I had a round rubbery nubbery. Need to find it. Oh, one thing I didn't check was if my voice is out of sync in the recording. That would actually be really valuable information. Because I uploaded the last one to YouTube last night, but I have not checked on it yet. That rubbery nubbery is not quite thin enough. Either that or I need to put more material in there. Let's see what happens when I do that. It's just like putting grout between tiles. One of the weird, interesting things that went on with that feedback. Oh, hi, Diamond. Says, I lurk since I'm at work. Kept you hidden in a tab. About to kick out for the day. I'll lurk via phone on my way to Costco. Awesome. Appreciate it, Damon. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. One of the feedbacks that my friend gave was that Bowmark's culture felt like a Western culture that was just kind of plopped into, into a Pacific island. So kind of wearing the dress of islanders, but the way the culture seemed was very Western. And that brings up a really interesting issue because, I mean, I don't think it's something most people will perceive, because the vast majority of fantasy is written that way, where it's like, yeah, you're in a fantasy world, but it's still, most people still have these kind of Enlightenment values about the value of the individual and, equal rights are what is expected and considered good by everyone. Like those things, those are historical anomalies, right? But anyway, that she was saying that, and it's like, well, we actually have a reason that it is that way, which is, we talked about it on the stream that I had my mom on, where it's like, these humans are descended from, people on Earth from the West who have these Western democratic values. So it makes sense that they seem that way. But since we don't say that, a new reader, such as her, is going to have this perception that we're just doing sloppy, lazy world building. That we're not thinking through, like, what life on islands actually, how it actually affects cultures, culturally. And yeah, so we've been talking about how to address that. Like, is that something where we put a like sentence at the beginning of each novel that's like 2,300 years after the crash, human variant sunbelter, location, whatever ocean, Stone Grove archipelago, and then it launches into the story? Or is that too heavy-handed? My friend did not like that proposed solution. She said it would kind of kill the mystery, or like it brings up questions that the book isn't designed to answer, so it'd be kind of frustrating to her for that reason. So yeah, I don't know what the best solution to that is, or if it needs a solution. When you ask someone to look for problems in your book, they're gonna find a lot that most people probably wouldn't, because most people don't pick up a book and start reading it looking for something to critique. So yeah, interesting conundrum there. Letha says the culture seemed fine to me. Yeah, I think it would seem fine to almost everyone. But my friend is A, looking for problems, and B, like super smart, super knowledgeable about history and other cultures and stuff. And so yeah, she had a different appraisal. And there's always that question of, well, how much do you change a thing based on like one person's picadillos? And I guess to me the answer is, well, how much do you A, think that person's picadillos are, you know, not just a one-off anomaly, but are shared by enough of a portion of your intended audience that it could be a problem, and B, how much does it actually now start bothering me? And some of the stuff she pointed out does not bother me, and other stuff does. But I'm happy now that this flow issue has been pointed out. I really think I feel a lot better about getting this out there. Another thing she brought up that also confirmed something that kind of had been bugging me at the back of my brain, but not enough to, you know, complain enough to my mom to change it, was the naming convention of the Islanders, which is quirky, to be sure, but it's certainly not unprecedented in other cultures of the world, where there's, you know, people named Bowmark is one thing, but then the commoners, their names, they kind of revel in the absurdity is not the right word, the mundanity of their names, because royals have these highfalutin names that are based on these, you know, big concepts, like I want him, you know, to fly straight and true like an arrow. I want him to, you know, have true aim with his bow, to always hit the mark, and that's why he's Bowmark. And then the commoners are just like, I'm calling my kid Crunch It because he crunched on a crab shell when he was 2 or whatever. I'm calling my kid 10 Toes because I'm glad he was born with all 10 toes. So you've got characters with those names, and yeah, she was really offended by that. She's importing some real world issues into there where, I guess, I didn't know about this, but apparently Facebook is denying some American natives their actual names on Facebook, because Facebook is saying, no, this is a made up name. You know, and I assume it's stuff like Standing Bear or whatever, you know, those sorts of names that they obviously have a significance. But yeah, my friend thought it was like or some of the names were super insulting and actually mocking of kind of tribal or traditional cultures like that, which I'm very sure that was not the intention. That's the last thing my mom would want to communicate. She is a xenophile. She loves everything to do with alien cultures and the differences that people have, and reveling in those. She is not the kind of person who would be like, haha, they have funny stupid names, I'm gonna call them this as a joke. It's definitely not that. But you know what, if it comes across that way, it, you know, to my friend, it could come across that way to other people too. So it's like, is it worth keeping this, you know, this quirky thing about this culture if it's potentially going to like really offend and hurt people? Because that is like exactly the opposite of the point of the stuff that Breath of Life Art Studio creates. Like, my mandate is to make the world more loving and more just by telling stories about weirdos, basically, about, you know, those who aren't the traditional white savior of, you know, most genre fiction. So anyway, another very interesting thing to think about and talk about. I'm really lucky that my mom is, not only is she brilliant and super talented, she's also humble and appreciates feedback and changes based on the feedback. So couldn't ask for a better collaborator out the gate. Demon Wrath, time to go home. Yes. Sounds good. Except I'm already home, so... Man, it's really hard to tell if I got that all squared away very well without a priming coat, which I suppose I could actually, technically I could spray a priming coat on before the epoxy sculpt sets up. Although I'm always worried to do that when it's still kind of wet and glistening from the safety solvent. I kind of feel like the paint is not going to truly set up if that's still wet underneath it. I think if I had a little bit stiffer brush, I'd be doing a better job at this. I see, something with shorter, stronger bristles. Maybe this. Yeah, that's doing a better job. see if this stuff will last long enough to do this other little decor thing that needs to be done. Yeah, went out again. Damon says, I'm on mobile, so still listening, but can't respond. Good time for dissenting opinions to be expressed. Did I say on the last stream that I thought Solo has the best visual development of any Star Wars movie ever made? Maybe best isn't the right word, because it wasn't super innovative in the same way that the original Star Wars was very innovative, but just the strength of almost every piece of design in that movie was just such a delight to behold. I read a tirade about Solo on Facebook where someone was so angry that it didn't have anything to do with the main plot, or didn't contribute to the I think he just really wants all Star Wars stories to be about Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and Han Solo. And he was mad that this was just like about Han Solo and didn't affect any of the, rest of the Star Wars universe. It was just, he was running small time adventure, whatever. He wasn't doing the big epic Star Wars stuff that he goes to Star Wars movies for. And it's just so funny to me, because that's exactly one of the reasons that I loved it, and I want more like that. It's like I don't care that much about the family saga thing. I just want to be in the world of Star Wars and hanging out with people doing fun adventures, seeing new characters and robots and aliens and environments. And this movie was full of all of that. So I was happy as a clam. Damon says, I pulled over, but it was so flipping dark. I like underworld movies. Oh, wow. I like the underworld movies. Trying to make sure the design is matching on the little and the big one. Looks like there needs to be a little divider between the three bamboo shafts there. Oh, underworld like crime. Okay, I see what you're saying. What are you referring to when you're saying it was so dark? Are you talking about the visuals or the subject matter, the themes, or are you saying it's dark in your car? I don't know if I like underworld crime movies in general. I don't like American gangster style movies. Just nothing about that lifestyle is cool or attractive or interesting to me. But I just don't like true crime as subject matter in general. It doesn't interest me. It's like, yeah, there's bad, crazy people all over the place that do bad, crazy things. What is this telling me new about the human condition that I can ponder, that can change my opinion on something? Really nothing. At least not very often. Hitting all green lights. Can't type. Oh, lighting in solo. Well, geez, don't try to comment while you're driving, man. Last thing I need is a dead Damon Roth. David says if they shifted a solo sequel to be more of a Hut cartel movie, I'd be happy. Yeah, that'd be cool. It did seem like they wanted to set it up for a sequel, which I was surprised by. I thought the point of these side movies was to just be one-off, spin-offs. But Hollywood does love their sequels. They've got sequelitis. And it's supposed to be summer. It was so nice and sunny today, and I have to turn on the heater for my feet. My toes are getting numb. You don't leave Kira alive and not use her again. Is that the Mother of Dragons character? I never remember names. I remember Han Solo's name, and Lando's name, and Chewbacca's name, but no one else. Boy, I did not think I'd be spending this much time resculpting this sculpture. I really just should have spent another couple $100 and reprinted it. This is ridiculous. Damon says, was cooler today, only in the 90s. Greenhouses were probably 120 though. Oh my god. I would be dead. So dead. You should get hazard pay when you work in that kind of heat. I can't tell if every single one of these is going to take 10 minutes like this, or if I'm just figuring out the right strokes to do, and I'll get faster and faster every one. Let's find out, shall we? And humid. Yeah, no kidding. It's kind of what greenhouses are for. I remember my honeymoon visiting the, let's see, what was it? Bucart Gardens in Victoria. No, I think that was the outdoor one. They had a big indoor greenhouse with a bunch of butterflies and stuff like that, and it was oppressive to go in there. Well, I mean, I can't even do saunas. I just feel like I'm suffocating the whole time. I do not understand how people find that relaxing. I think I'd rather have pretty much any bad kind of weather, except for, you know, a tornado or whatever, rather than humidity. AJ Bucky says, I get very sick if I'm in a sauna for even a few seconds. Oh, wow. Wondering if there's a better tool to do these particular strokes at this particular angle. Can't think of one, but this one sure is kind of awkward at what I'm trying to do. Jay Baki says, when I went to New Zealand a couple years ago, I was finally getting used to the heat by the end of the 2 weeks, and then it was time to go home. Aw, sad. David says, the worst is not being able to dry off after a shower. You always feel moist in July and August. You indeed. Yep, that's probably the thing I hated most about living in Michigan, was that feeling, just clammy. Like in the winter, you go outside and it physically hurt because the wind and the ice particles and the cold. And then summer, you go out and you're just miserable with the humidity. It's like none of those people realize Western Washington is a thing. That must be what it is. We get humid, I'd say maybe a quarter of the hot days. And cold days for that matter. But most of the time it is not humid. Thank God. Alright, I think that one went a little faster. Damon Rath says, that's the Midwest. Icky. Is that their official tourist slogan? Because it should be. Maybe a paintbrush is better for this. It does seem to be getting... I'm not leaving the aggressive tool marks that I was with the metal tool. Just noticed I had some stabby brush bristle. There's a polar bear! You know, it's not that level, but it's approaching it. Jay says, time to go wrestle with new modem Comcast sent us. I might make it back. Not sure. Have fun. All right, thanks. And Damon arrived at Costco. Oh no, you're gonna mute me. No! $76. It's gonna be you and me for a bit. All right. Let's just be our little private chat room. This is good lonely music. American Sign Language to Damon now. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Oh. I used to know some letters. But now that I think about it, it was probably when I was 14. Which, now when I think about that, was about 873 years ago. So it's no wonder I don't remember them very well. Or at all. I should put this here so I stop banging the camera every time I move my tool towards it. Wonder how late I'm gonna make it tonight. Will I be able to stay up all the way to 9 or 10 o'clock. Probably shouldn't even try. If I just went to bed 7 and then slept 12 hours, which is my amazing, wonderful, happy sleep amount of time. Although I have to make up for getting no sleep last night. And woke up at 7 in the morning tomorrow. How crazy would that be? I would feel like such an adult. Like generally, if there's some reason in my life that I have to get up at 7 a.m. anymore, I always seriously consider just staying up all night, because it's not even worth the tiny amount of sleep that I would get. And that's exactly what happened last night. Alright, since I'm getting towards the front, I think I'm gonna spin back this way so that the last ones I'm doing are the ones in front. So any little learnings that I pick up as I do this over and over again can be applied to the pieces, the parts that will be seen the most. Oh no, not the adult thing. That's right. Managed to avoid it most of my life. It was unavoidable when, you know, my kids were littler. I had to get up and get them ready for school and all that jazz. But thankfully, that time of my life is over. Although I guess I do still sometimes have to get my 18-year-old up out of bed. But millennials, am I right? I don't know if an 18-year-old counts as a millennial, to be honest. Might be Generation Z at this point or whatever. Oh, this is interesting. If I don't loop the whole thing over, looks like I can get a better form by appending these edges separately. Yeah, such a world of opportunity opened up to me after my kids were old enough to get themselves up. Yeah, I think this is a much better technique. I'm really glad I waited to do the front and went around the other side so I could stumble across this technique. It's not particularly faster, but I'm achieving the results I want easier. Oh, I've only done half of these? Oh my gosh, this is killing me. This must be what it's like to do knitting. Or what it must be like to build a colossus. Well, my last groan was not because of anything happy. It was just realizing that I thought I only had maybe 2 of these things left, but I'm realizing this is going to be the one that's halfway. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. Probably wouldn't bother me nearly as much if I didn't feel like I was about to pass out from exhaustion. Choices, hang in there or go get some much needed sleep. Those are two of my possible choices. But since I've got in-laws in town, usually it's never that simple. I've got a wife just out of surgery and in-laws. Alright, this stuff's starting to get probably too hard to keep mucking with for this purpose. Let's see if I can use it to repair this part I broke. I done went and broke. Okay, got some of that uncured rubber on my fingers. So I gotta change my gloves, or I'm gonna get that on Bowmark's face. And science has proven that getting uncured rubber on Bowmark's face makes Joshy sad. Sad. Glovey glove. You can do this. You admire my perseverance? I don't know if it's admirable. At some point, it's just self-destructive tendencies. But I guess it's better than self-destructing with, you know, substance abuse or something like that. See, if I wasn't so tired, if I was at the top of my game, I could have rattled off like 5 other hilarious ways to self-destruct that doing art is better than. But alas, I'm not at my peak. It's not peak Josh. Evil Skink says the sound of rubber gloves squeaking, just the best. Is that really the best? Is that what Conan would say is best in life? The sound of rubber gloves squeaking. The lamentation of the fingers. Evil Skink says, far better choice, but I do enjoy the self-destruct through food. Ah, yes, that's a good one. I guess if I really needed to self-destruct, that'd probably be the way I would want to go. Just a big old gut bomb. Death by donuts. I think that's what I would pick. Donuts or cookies? Actually, I think I would go cookies. Like, I can still make myself feel really sick with cookies, but not as easy as donuts. Donuts, like, wreck me if I eat the amount that I want to eat, which is usually about 8. I'm not talking just those little, you know, generic Krispy Kreme donuts. I'm talking like bear claws and apple fritters. Are those the same thing? And you know, the ones that have like the super thick chocolate frosting, jelly filled. I devour them all. Where did I get death metal in here? Must be that one Windswept artist. I bought a whole album of his royalty-free musics, and I thought it was all symphonic stuff, but I didn't actually listen to every track. Oh well, good thing I like death metal. I wonder if it's been popularized enough where it doesn't make quite so many people annoyed. When I was a teenager, it was still a brand new thing, and it was death metal vocals was just my favorite thing in the universe. Just like a monster singing, it's so great. What could be better than a monster singing the blazing guitar riffs? Nothing. Nothing, I tell you. Nothing a boy of 13 full of testosterone tells you. Nothing could be better. And then the problem is your tastes really get set around that time period of your life. So even though I recognize that it's terrible, still love it. Still love the death metal. Evil Skink says voodoo donuts. We made 76 drool on the keyboard. Sorry about that. I think is Voodoo the one I went to? Oh no, I tried Top Pot's Donuts. I don't know if it's local or if it's a big place, but yeah, everyone talked about how great Top Pot donuts were, and was like, Krispy Kreme is garbage compared to that. And so one of my, days, I was just like, screw it, I'm eating donuts today. Just gonna buy half a dozen donuts for myself. And so I went to Top Pot, spent, God, I don't know, I feel like each donut was $3 or $4 each. It's ridiculous. And I didn't like them. I mean, they're donuts, right? It's not like they're gross. But it's just like, for the amount of calories and destruction that I'm doing to my gut, it was not worth it. Like, I like Krispy Kreme more than fancy schmancy donuts. Which is not surprising. I would also rather eat a double cheeseburger from McDonald's than a nice steak dinner any day of the week. I blame my mom because she hardly ever got us fast food, so as a result, fast food was all I wanted as a kid. Same with sugary cereal. We never had sugar cereal in the house, so anytime I would spend the night at my friend's house, I would just be this like ravenous cereal monster and eat 3 boxes of Captain Crunch and Fruity Pebbles. Evil Skink says, so puff batter donuts over cake style donuts. Yes, oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't care for the cake style. I mean, unless you layer on like a like a half-inch thick fudge or you know, other kind of icing on there, in which case cake is fine. But actually, if I end up with a cake donut, what I'll do is I'll eat the top half, you know, the frosting layer, and then like down just a, you know, a nibble of the cake part. It's so stupid. I'm such a child. I also don't eat my pizza crust. It's, well, you know, as I get older, in my defense, like, considering how every calorie and carb is damaging me, like, they have to be the most emotionally satisfying carbs possible, or else it's just a waste. It's a catastrophic waste. So yeah, that's there you go. True confessions of a man-child. Oh, what I should be doing is making this loop be one piece. Ah, duh. Man, if my brain was halfway functioning, I would have figured that out 6 thingies ago. That way I get the one nice arch shape really well. Establish that, and then I can work the other 2 arch shapes off easily. Yeah, guys, if you want any embarrassing info about me, now's the time to ask, because I have no inhibitions due to my exhaustion. It's like that truth serum that they give people in the movies. Perfect time to ask me anything. Not that I'm ever actually inhibited anyway, but no, I'm extra less inhibited. Seem to always need a little pad of it there to blend these 2 arches together. Man, I learned so much about sculpting with this stuff working on that Colossus. Tell you what. Finally finished editing the next episode. And yeah, it's interesting just reviewing the learning that was going on during the 4.5 years of torture. Evil Skink says, you still streaming on YouTube also? What I'm doing is recording the Twitch stream and then uploading that to YouTube 24 hours later. I've got to do that to be compliant with the Twitch affiliate agreement. They won't let you monetize. They won't let you get subs on Twitch if you are also streaming to YouTube at the same time, which I'm not happy about. But I gave YouTube a chance. I gave it almost an entire year to even come close to the features that Twitch has, and they didn't do it. They pretty much, they got streaming in, and then they got like a kind of a tip system in, kind of, and then it's pretty much been at that level for the past, I don't know, 8 months or a year or something. So yeah, I can't afford to wait for them anymore. I need to be generating income that I can spend on advertising the book when it comes out. And so hopefully once I'm an affiliate on Twitch, people will sub to me. I will beg them for their free Amazon Prime subs, because I had no idea I had one of those until like last month. I didn't know that was a thing. Okay, so I think what I decided was do a thick but aggressively tapered arch right here, right there, and I can come in behind, build up the mass behind it a little bit. Yes, all the bits. Bits and subs. I don't know why YouTube doesn't have an equivalent to the sub in Twitch, where it's just a monthly thing. You know, Twitch has it, Patreon has it. Why doesn't YouTube have it? I've got YouTube Red, where you can pay a monthly fee to, which I do, to not get any commercials on your videos. But I could see doing that on a per channel basis. Like if you really like the Josh Foreman channel, you could sub to it, or YouTube Red to it, to just that channel for, you know, I don't know, $1 a month or something, right? And then YouTube takes part of that to compensate them for not having the advertising on there, and then the other portion goes to the creator. It's like, seems like such a obvious model. Don't know why they want to do that. Gives people on YouTube a chance to support their favorite creators without having to sign up for Patreon or whatever. Evil Skink says, it's the part that goes to the creator they have an issue with, I'm sure. Well, I mean, they have a way to tip on YouTube, and 70% of that tip goes to the creator, so I don't think they're philosophically opposed to it. Maybe once all the YouTube Red original programming that they've been spending all that money on goes bust, maybe then they'll revisit their strategy. Although they finally got a show out there that people are talking about and apparently watching. I haven't watched it yet, but I could be. If I had a lot of nostalgia for Karate Kid, I would totally be watching. Why do I keep not having enough clay up the top arch of these things? I do not know. Damon says Cobra Kai is awesome. Is it? I've heard some people say that. Evil Skink says, I must say that watching you work gives me so many project ideas. Yeah? Projects like doing the same GD thing 800 times in a row. Because that's what I've been doing so far this stream. No, but that's good. That's good. I'm glad. Make sure you pick the best one to do and not the worst one. That's my only advice. Evil Skink says, that is part of projects. That's like 60% of projects. Often, yes. Damon says, Josh is holding his rage well. I think I'm too tired to too tired to be full of rage. I had a life event in my late 20s that I think spent up all of the rage for my whole life, and I don't have any left. So I'm a very chill guy now. Oh, look at this. If I candy cane that around, I think that'll solve my thing where I kept having to add more clay at the top. Maybe. Come on, stick. In case anyone's wondering, these spikes, when I fill it up with resin, it's only supposed to go to about there. So it looks like sharpened logs. This whole long part here, that's just so the mold opening can just go all the way to the top. So I don't have to like pull those sharp spikes out of a mold, which damages a mold over time to do that. Okay, one more, and then we can do some more fun, arty stuff with the rest of this clay. A little more fun and arty. Went for a lot of walks with my folks over the weekend. We were talking about how awesomely few mosquitoes there are in Washington State, and we were walking through like a swampy, boggy, marsh type wilderness area. There's walking paths, like raised wooden walking paths, so you're not actually in the swamp, but Yeah, I was like, we are in the middle of a swamp and we've seen like 2 mosquitoes. And then, as if summoned, we got swarmed for the next 20 minutes. And I ended up getting a mosquito bite right on my forehead. That's delightful. And I'm pretty sure I got one on my back, and I think one snuck in my garage. Because I had the door open and the light on. Why? There was a reason. And yeah, I think a bunch of mosquitoes came in here, and I think one just bit me again. It is a lesson against hubris. Don't go bragging about your state's small mosquito population and think you can get away with it. Evil Skink says, I live in one of those areas. Lake out back, lots of mosquitoes out here. And what do you use for molds? I assume silicone, but do you have a type you prefer? I use a variety. This one here that's not actually setting up properly, I think because I mixed it wrong, is this Poyo Putty. And that's just a kneadable one, which if you want to get all the details, that's not the best way to go. I mostly use Smooth On, not because I think it's a superior product, but because I just haven't done enough research to definitively say that there's a better brand out there. I'm on a couple forums for people who do molding and casting, and I've heard that recently a lot of the batches of Smooth On definitely resin, I don't remember if it was rubber or not, but were just not working right. They were failing to cure properly. I can't remember what the other complaints were, but these are people who like do molding and casting professionally. You know, it's their life, their career, and most of them use a variety of brands that I've just never heard of. But Smooth On is kind of the one that you can find in your local area most likely, as opposed to the other ones which you probably have to mail order. And whenever you have to mail order mold making supplies, you're paying almost as much in shipping as you are for the material. Alright. Let's see, I could do the tips of these. A, I don't want to do another thing where I have to go around the circle again. B, there might be a danger that while I'm working here, I'm going to smush my finger up against work that I've already done. And so I think for those reasons, I'm going to not do that. Instead, I'm going to gussy up his hair a little bit. Somehow I got this hair to latch on, and now it's giving me trouble. Why you give me trouble? Oh, there we go. Okay, I think this tiny little nubbin here forces me to have to kind of click it past, which is actually awesome because then it seals up like perfectly. So I think I'm going to reinforce that little nubbin, give it some heft. In general, I just wanted to go in and add some more variety to the lumps and bumps of his hair. I'm going to start with the plea. no, didn't. Okay, and then I take this guy. Now this little rubbery nubbery guy has some like paint accumulation on it. So it kind of has a messy, and look at this one. It's got this little like flake on it, but that's actually really good for making kind of just noisy impressions in the clay. Simulates pretty well what ZBrush does when you apply a noise filter on the mesh. Sometimes that's a little too aggressive, so I'll go in with a softer brush, just dab at it, and that'll smooth down some of the jabbier jabs. But I still want some of the jabbies to be pretty severe. So I tend to just kind of go back and forth until it feels just right. Okay, and I was going to do this over most of the hair, but since this piece just keeps wanting to fall off, I think I need to keep the statue still for a while. But I can do it on these guys. Gotta make this thing look less like a fossilized Cheeto. got a little too ambitious and put this stuff around too much of the area, so I keep accidentally smushing it. Evil Skink says, the character still resembles a friend of mine. He even makes a similar expression. No scar, though. And then your mic has a lot of popping. Did it get knocked loose? For some reason, OBS is not letting the mic on this camera work. Instead, it's using the mic on this camera, which is right next to my mouth. At least that's what it appears to be doing, and I can't make it stop doing that. I tried for half an hour, but since this is not my normal streaming computer, that should be coming back from the shop soon. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that whatever the issue is, it has to do with compatibility between these particular devices and the computer, not an OBS bug that's going to be in that too. Also, I'm going to be switching to Streamlabs OBS, and so that might solve the problem as well. So sorry about that. The new computer should also solve the out of sync issues. Well, tell your friend he looks awesome, by the way. He should be a book cover model. Also, thank you for recognizing that this character is male. Seems to be difficult for a lot of people. I wonder if it's because you have a friend who is a male who looks like him. Alright. Boy, again, I mixed way too much. Might be setting up just incredibly slowly. I wish I knew why. I don't feel like I mixed anything like ridiculously out of proportion to the rest of it, but probably that's what happened. Okay, last thing I want to do before I call it for the day and go pass out, I want to get this set up to easily start on. I'm going to gold leaf this sucker. It's going to be incredible looking. Which means you either want it black or dark brown or orange or red typically. I got this burnt umber ink. I'm going to give that a try. Gold leaf is the bling, but sleep is also good. Yeah, I'm not going to do the gold leafing tonight. I'm just going to get the base coat on. Okay, well that one wouldn't open, so instead I'm going to try rich brown. No. I think I'm just going to paint over the water because going around it would end up taking so much time. It'll be easier just to pre-paint the water. I think that only took me about 5 minutes. So. By the way, if you're curious, this print was, I bought it from Design Retro 3D. I think that's the order those letters go in. If you Google 3D printed Zelda map, I'm pretty sure you'll find it, no problem. Oh, I just thought of the coolest thing to do with this. I gotta get an old NES cartridge of the original Legend of Zelda, the gold one, and split it open, and then this will be sitting in it like where the chipboard would be or whatever. How cool would that be? I have one of them that I have on display on my little Zelda figure mountain, but I don't want to use that one.
Everybody decided on pancakes for dinner.
Okay,
Taylor wanted some pancakes earlier.
sounds good to me.
Okay.
Pancakes for dinner. Speaking of being a sugar fiend, I might actually try to skip that and just go straight to bed. Let's see how well that flies. I wonder if you can get cheaper a cheaper Legend of Zelda cartridge that is non-functional. Because I think the one I bought is functional, and I ended up, I want to say it was like 20 or 30 bucks or something. think I'll probably also do a wash over this so it's got super dark crevices, because that's where it's really hard to get the gold leaf in. Yeah. Alright, you guys. This is it. We're done. We did it. We finished. Forever. No, not forever. I'll probably be back later this week. I wouldn't be surprised if I came on tomorrow or Friday. In fact, I took the week off. I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff, so thanks for watching, you guys, and gonna go nighty night, sleepy sleep. Bye.